First, I'll give you an overview of the panel and its mechanical parts. Going around the underside, you can see here is a small 12 volt 5 RPM DC gear motor, and it is coupled shaft is coupled directly to the panel on the back of the solar cell panel. The wires coming out the back are the wires from the solar cell, and they're wired in parallel. Looking at the top, you can see the 4 cells. Each is 5 volts at 200 milliamps, so we get a total of 5 volts at 800. And they are brought out to a small jack that I plug into the battery charger. Looking at the rest of it, this is the sensing LED and its associated shade. On the other side, you can see the other LED. And the shades, what the shades do is the panel has to be almost directly aligned with the sun, or one or the other of the LEDs will be shaded, and the panel will tend to drive and correct the position. Inside the box is the circuit. Really isn't much to it. There's a PIC and an H-bridge in there, a voltage regulator, handful of caps and diodes, and that's about it. On the side of the box is a toggle switch that I use to manually position the panel. The power supply itself is nothing more than a nickel metal hydride battery pack that plugs into the power. And the other item here is my little homemade serial LCD backpack. On the back side, you can see I've got a small circuit board I etched, and I downloaded the hex code from SparkFun. It really works great for debugging circuits, and what I'm using it for here is to monitor the timer counter. There's the counter in there, and also when it goes into a routine where it wants to move the panel, it shows the voltage on each LED and the difference. Now we'll plug it in, and you can see it's already starting to count. Now before we get going, I'll show you moving the panel manually. I can move it around as so. We'll leave it set approximately horizontal. Now when the count reaches 120, which is about a minute, it will go out, read the LEDs, and if there's a difference, it'll drive the panel. Now what I'm going to do is, when we get to that count, I'm going to shine a flashlight on one of the sensing LEDs, and you'll see a remarkable difference in the voltage on the two and how the panel will drive. And I'll move it to the other side and repeat the process. So we have to wait about another 30 seconds or so before it's completely ready to go. This is completely arbitrary. I decided to run it at this count. The panel will increment not quite 1 degree each time it moves. Now I'm going to turn the light on this LED here. Now you see there's a remarkable difference there in the count. And you can see the panel moving. It's stepping. It wants to adjust the light. Now I'm going to take the flashlight and move it to the other LED, and it'll step the opposite direction. And once again, looking at the difference, I'll turn the flashlight off, and it's going to drop down radically. Now my hysteresis is 25, so now the difference was 24, so it stopped. And as you can see, panel's no longer tracking. Now it'll go through another cycle to 120, go out and check the LEDs, and they'll be close to the same probably, so it'll jump right back into the counting routine. Now what we'll do is move the panel manually. I can do that while it's before the interrupt routine occurs. I'm going to move the panel manually down to just about where it encounters the over travel LED. And then when we reach 120, I'll put the flashlight on there, and I'll drive it so it engages the limit switch. And when that happens, you'll see the panel automatically adjusts to go back to parallel. Now we'll leave it keep counting. Once the panel has adjusted, you have to power cycle. It's just a feature I incorporated. Let's shine the light on there now. It's driving down. Hit the LED, hit the limit switch. Drive back up to almost parallel. That was arbitrary. That could be changed to make it a very parallel. And then the counter will just stay in a loop and keep counting. It'll hit 120. You see that there was an error flag set, and it'll jump back into the interrupt routine and start over. And that's basically it. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed it.